Get ready for a quick quest guide for the Death on the Isle quest, in which the main rewards for completing are 10,000 Thieving experience, 7,500 Agility experience, 5,000 Crafting experience, the ability to use a costume needle, and 2 quest points. You'll need to have completed the Children of the Sun quest in order to take this one on, and skill wise you'll need level 34 Thieving and level 32 Agility. You'll also need the combat ability to defeat a level 49 enemy without any worn equipment or any food. You can use prayer though, and in particular having level 43 prayer for protect from melee is quite helpful. Then there are no items needed to complete this quest, although you may need 20 coins to get to the quest start. Now you can begin this quest in the middle of the island of Aldaran, located southwest of Valamor. This is easily reached by taking a Quetzal from Valamor provided that you've completed the Twilight's Promise quest, or by using the CKQ Fairy Ring if you've completed a Fairy Tale Part 2. Alternatively, it can be reached by taking a boat from Sunset Coast for the cost of 20 coins. To begin this quest, you'll want to speak to Patsy, located a little ways east of the bank, and after going through some chat, select yes to officially begin the quest and agree to attend a party as a fake butler. But first you need to steal your own uniform. Next, run north a little ways to the house that's just west of the general store, and here you'll find a window that's barred with wooden planks. While the wandering guard isn't standing too close, select to enter the window and go inside. Once inside, select to take the uniform that's hanging out of the wardrobe, and afterwards again make sure that the wandering guard isn't too close before exiting out of the window and running south back to Patsy. Talk to Patsy and go through the rather long chat with him and ensure that you finish the dialogue. And now it's time to party. Pop on your butler's uniform and then run east up the stone steps before going a little way south, whereby you'll see a head butler. Talk to the head butler, who will explain that your butler's uniform and mask must stay on at all times at the party, and also that your equipment and inventory will be temporarily cleared while at the event. Don't worry though, as you'll get everything back again once you leave. At the end of the chat, select I am, to then enter the party as a fabulous butler. Once at the party, run east into the villa and then talk to Patsy before going through the chat. Now you'll need to talk to some other guests. Namely, you'll need to speak to Constantinius, Koziak, Parvo, and Zakotla, who are all roaming around on the bottom floor of the villa. Speak to each of them and go through all the dialogue with them. Following this, head back to Patsy and speak to him, whereby you'll tell him about the guests and he asks you to grab him a drink. Now head down into the cellar, with its entrance being just outside to the northeast of the villa. Once inside, go south and along the southern wall will be some antique wine. Investigate it, and while doing this you'll hear a commotion. Now run through the cellar to wind up at the room directly to your east, where you'll find a man on the floor. Check on the dead man, and as you do, some guards will arrest you and take you to a small room. Here you will need to spacebar through a rather long chat with them, whereby you convince them, or maybe they kind of convince themselves, that you might not have been the killer. You'll now need to help the guards solve the mystery of who killed Livius, the lead actor of that night's play. At the end of the long chat, you'll be handed a case file. Now return back to the wine cellar and enter it. Firstly, investigate the jug just south of the stairs. Then go into the southern room and investigate the small box. Afterwards, in the southeastern corner of the same room, you'll find a broken stool. Investigate this too. Next, go into the room where Livius is not living his best life and investigate the wine storage just north of the entry archway, before then investigating the broken pottery just a tad southeast. Finally, head a tad south and inspect Livius himself. Following this, head back upstairs and then return to the ground floor of the villa. Now once again, you'll need to do the rounds and speak to Constantinius, Koziak, Parvo, and Zakotla, going through the dialogue with each of them, where you'll learn that Livius had an understudy. After you've gone through the chats, talk to Patsy, who is weirdly excited about the whole murder thing and upset that he didn't get to drink wine from the cellar. Next, speak to either of the guards, being Stradius or Hutza, who are by the room entrance. Begin by saying, I think I found everything there is to find so far. What now? Before then going through the rest of the dialogue with them. Next, you'll need to pickpocket all the guests on the ground floor. This includes Adala, Patsy, Constantinius, Koziak, Parvo, and additionally Zakotla. Doing this will see you end up with 4 items, being some wine labels, a threatening note, a drinking flask, and a shipping contract. Once you have all of these, then you'll want to select to inspect each one of them. Following this, speak to either Stradius or Hutsa and go through the chat, whereby you'll hand over the evidence and signs will suggest that Adala is the murderer. Following the chat, say, "I'm ready," to then proceed to the next step where you'll gather everyone upstairs. Now talk to all of the suspects gathered, being Constantinius, Zakotla, Koziak, Pavo, Patsy, and Adala, though you'll want to speak to Adala and Patsy last. For all of the suspects, go through the full dialogue with them until the option to accuse them appears. Once this pops up, you can move on and talk to the next person. At the end of the chat with Patsy and Adala, you'll want to mentally prepare yourself for an unarmed fight against a level 49 enemy, and then select the option to accuse Adala. Following this, she admits to trying to steal wine, but not to murdering Livius, and you'll then need to fight her. While you can't use any equipment or food, you can use all of your prayers. So select any combat boosting prayers or perhaps protect from melee to help you through the fight. Once she's low health, she'll say that she wasn't strong enough to kill Livius, though she'll still be escorted away for being a thief. Following this, talk to Constantinius, whereby he'll exclaim that despite the murder, he wants to get the play going with the understudy. After everyone clears out of the room, make your way down 2 flights of stairs to the ground floor and then run southwest and go down the large flight of wooden steps. Once you're down the stairs, then run east before navigating some loose rocks to wind up at a dungeon sign where the guards are hanging out. Talk to Stradius or Hutsa and go through the chat with them, before then entering the backstage entrance. Once inside, talk to the costumer, and after a bit of talking, some dialogue options will appear and you can exit the chat. Next, search the crate along the eastern wall to find it's full of poison. Then search the bookshelf on the western wall to find a secret passage to the wine cellar. Afterwards, search the costume rack to your north to find a wine or rather blood-stained costume with a label that reads Nyatli. Following this, speak to the costumer once again, and start by asking, "What can you tell me about the actors?" Then after getting information on all the actors, ask, "What's the crate of poison for?" Following more chatter, say, "It seems one of the costumes has a stain on it." And after going through some more dialogue, ask, "Did you know there was a hidden passage in here?" Before then continuing through the rest of the chat. Once the chat options pop up again, you can exit the conversation and you'll want to head up the stairs to the guards. Now talk to Stradius or Hutsa and go through the chat. And when asked who killed Livius, firstly select more options and then select Nyatli, who is currently on stage, and continue through the rest of the chat with the guards. Now you'll end up on stage and you'll want to talk to Nyatli to your northwest, whereby you'll accuse her through some interesting dialogue. Following this, she'll run a little northeast, simply select attack on her, and after Clodius runs from around the corner, select attack on him, which will see him run away. Then choose to attack Nyatli again, you'll hit her, she will run southeast, attack her again, and she'll fall to the ground, conceding that she killed Livius, albeit by mistake. Following this, go through the chat with Stradius and Hutsa before BAM! Quest complete. You'll be awarded 10,000 thieving experience, 7,500 agility experience, 5,000 crafting experience, the ability to use a costume needle, and 2 quest points. But stay with me for some quick post-quest things. Firstly, pickpocket Constantinius walking around the ground floor to obtain a key, and then head into the cellar and go to the most southwestern corner of it, where you'll find a fancy chest. Use the key on the chest to open it, where you'll be told something has been taken for a clean. Following this, run to the most eastern room of the underground area, entering the bookshelf passage to arrive at the costume area. Talk to the costumer, and after a little chatter, she'll give you a costume needle, which is a needle that doesn't require any thread to be used. Now go west through the secret passage and then head up the staircase to the northwest of the cellar. Afterwards, run to the southwestern fountain and search it to find a blue icon. Blue icon in hand, go a little northwest and pass through the entryway to exit the villa. Then continue running north until you see a large blue statue that looks an icy white color. Use the blue icon with the statue, which will activate it, allowing you to teleport to it with a pendant of Artez, which is an untradeable rare drop from killing Frost Naguas or the Amoxliaddle boss. And you're all done. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you in the next quest.